Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 39 of the What the Hell Are We Doing podcast. One more episode left to the season finale, and we are very hyped about this amazing show. We'll be interviewing an amazing content creator, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, welcome in. How are you doing? And tell us about yourself.
I'm doing okay. I literally just stopped streaming like 10 minutes ago, so still getting into regular mode. But my name's Jack. I stream Magic on Twitch as Infozar, INFOXCZAR. There's a whole nightmare behind that. But so I stream 3 times a week. 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Tuesdays, and then I do the afternoon stream on Thursdays from 1:30 to 3:30 Eastern. Tries to be a little more available to like UK and European people, just so they don't have to see me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's a lot of talking, and I'm an amateur magician, and so there's usually 4 or 5 magic routines thrown in there, and that's about that.
So what got you into doing magic? Did you grow up doing magic? Did you learn it? Was it a learning process? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was interested in magic from a pretty young age. I was probably 5 or 6 maybe. I have an older sister who used to do like magic with friends, the standard. I think everybody, or a lot of people, have like a magic phase when they're young. And so, certainly I looked up to my sister, my big sister, right? And so when she was doing magic at my birthday party and things like that, it kind of stuck with me. And I got, I would get books from the library. I did a lot of learning, that kind of thing, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Then, I would get discouraged because my hands were too small to do all the special moves with the cards and everything. So I'd kind of like fade away a bit, but it was always there. I was always kind of like interested. I just wasn't actively pursuing it. Got into it again in high school, left it behind again in college, and it just like faded in and out, but it was never completely gone. I was always interested in cards, especially. And then about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, somehow I think I just saw like something viral on YouTube or something, somebody doing a card trick that I was like, oh man, like I want to learn how to do that. And I realized that one of the big reasons I stopped was I couldn't afford it back when I was in 6th grade, but I can buy cards now. I can buy decks of cards. I don't have to worry about one deck of cards getting ruined and then I can't do it anymore. So, I kind of, the most I've ever been into it has been the past 5 or 6 years, and it's been a ride. It's been a lot of fun. I've really kind of just like jumped into it hard, and
Awesome. So you said your sister was a magician. Was she a professional magician? Did she know certain tricks? No?
No. She just, she had that phase that I think a lot of people did, where, you do a magic show for your family, or as, your little brother's birthday party or something like that. It was the thing that a lot of kids, they have that magic phase, they get the magic kit, they are having fun with it for a while, and then they leave it behind. And then the people who actually don't leave it behind are the ones that, wind up doing this nonsense. Most people dodge that bullet, but some of us end up kind of sucked into it and never leave. So
how long have you been on Twitch? How long have you been streaming on the platform?
I did my first test stream just to make sure that it was even something I could physically do with my hardware, and so that was on Easter of this year, so late April, and then I didn't really do my first real stream. That was just like a 15-minute test. I didn't do my first real stream until, I guess, in May sometime. I'm not sure exactly when. But yeah, it's been about 4 months, I think.
Awesome. So what might have inspired your name over on Twitch? It's really hard to pronounce, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just that the X is silent, and not a lot of people necessarily know CZAR is an actual word. It's another spelling, TSAR, the rulers in Russia in the early 20th century. But the story for that kind of goes back a ways because I'm old. So my background is in IT, and back in the late 90s, I was doing consulting and needed to register a domain name. So it was like 1997. And ignore me dropping coins, I do that a lot. But so it was 1997, and way back when, actually there were governmental positions that were referred to as like, the official title would be, Secretary of the Interior, but it would be something else, czar. Like, there'd be like the energy czar and things like that. That was how people referred to in government positions in like the 70s, which is when I'm from. But so I had info czar, because I was doing database backends for websites and things like that. It's just dumb tech stuff. But it was what I used. I registered that domain name, and that was what I used when I was consulting and, doing this kind of IT work. And it just kind of turned into my default name for anything whenever I had to just type in a throwaway name, because it was in my domain name. I've had the same email address since 1997,
Oh, wow.
So I wound up on Twitch. Yeah, I'm sure it was before you were born, right? So I wound up on Twitch because a friend I knew in real life, who is a lounge singer, during the pandemic obviously wasn't performing in live venues anymore, and started streaming on Twitch, and that was basically how I found Twitch. And that, plus we have a local theater here who used to do this fun event called Trash Night, where every third Tuesday of the month you come in, watch a terrible movie, and everybody makes dumb jokes and yells dumb things at the screen. And they also moved that online, and that was also on Twitch. So those two things were basically the only way I knew about Twitch at all. And so in order to participate in chat and type your own dumb jokes, you needed an account. And so I just made a throwaway account, and I used my standard name, which was Info Czar with an X in the middle. And I never expected to use it for anything else. But then when I got pulled into streaming much quicker than I thought I was going to, it turned into, it was too late to change it. It was like, I can change it. Obviously, Twitch lets you change your username. But before I started streaming, you had the Raven Armed on last week.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
He's the reason I'm streaming. Yeah, he's the reason I'm streaming.
Oh.
So the story, the way it happened was, I was a fan of his on Twitch because that lounge singer, Spooky Loopy, raided into him one night. And so I was like, what am I looking at? This is total insanity, And I loved it, and I kept going back. And then one night he's like, oh, we've got a post-stream decompression in the Discord. And I said, oh, well, okay. I don't know what that's going to be like, but I went into the Discord. I didn't realize it was going to be a video chat. But all of a sudden I'm on camera with the Raven Armed and a bunch of his mods and a bunch of his fans. It was like maybe 20 of us in there. And he was like, oh, it's so great that you came in. Most people who don't know us, they're not brave enough to turn their camera on. So I appreciate that. And I didn't want to tell him I'm not brave. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a newbie at the whole video chat thing in Discord. I'd used the text thing before. But he said, oh, I see you have a deck of cards. Are you a magician? And I was like, well, I know some things. And he says, can you show me something? Can you show us something? And I was like, well, okay, and I did a couple of card tricks, and he's like, that was great. I'm so excited. You should be streaming. Here's a bunch of like advice. And I'm like writing stuff down as quickly as I can. And I went back the next week for the post-stream decompression. And again, he was like, can you do more magic for us? And I did more magic. And he says, all right, you need to come on my stream. You're going to come on my stream this Thursday, and you're going to do magic. If you're okay with that. And I said, maybe. I had no idea what this would involve. So I got back to him the next day, and I said, I think I can do it. We'll give it a try. And yeah, I went on his stream that Thursday, and it was as bonkers as it usually is in there. You know, he's got sound alerts going off every 5 seconds, but I'm not hearing it because I'm in voice chat with him. He's not echoing any of that over voice chat, so I have no idea that I'm talking and nobody can hear me because all this stuff's going on. But you know, he had originally told me, well, maybe we'll have time to do like 1 or 2 tricks, but mostly it's going to be talking. And then he just kept asking for trick after trick after trick over the course of 3 hours. And you know, I was like, I'm running out of stuff, but you know, we were having a lot of fun. I'm screwing stuff up, and it didn't matter. Everybody was having fun. And at the end, we're still in the voice chat after his stream ends, and he's like, I'm curious, you know, how many followers did you have before coming in here? And I was like, I don't know, a couple. I mean, I haven't streamed. It's just people who know me who just like followed me randomly. And he's like, well, you've got 52 now. And I said, oh, okay. Because as you know, on Twitch, you need 50 followers to qualify for affiliate.
Yes.
And you know, there's other things that are, yeah, there are other things that are required as well, but that's often the hard one to get, is the 50 followers. And I hadn't streamed yet, really, and I had 52 just from being on his stream. So that's why I'm on here, and that's why I never changed the name, was because all these people already knew the existing dumb name that harkens back to me doing IT consulting in 1997. And I'm like, fine, we'll keep it. We'll keep it. It's fine. It's quirky, you know. It doesn't matter anyway. And so that's the really long story of why I've got a dumb name on Twitch. So
awesome, dude. So I was gonna ask you about Raven later on, babe. Sure, we can bring it up right now.
Yeah.
I saw the video of you and performing magic, like you said, on Raven's stream. I think it was one of your VODs over on your Twitch. So that was amazing. And
thanks.
what was the whole experience like for you, being a new person who came onto Discord, didn't know anything about the platform, then you suddenly got this like burst of advice from an amazing content creator. How did you like process all of that?
I mean, again, I was just writing stuff down as quickly as I could. You know, I was a fan of his stream. He was basically the first full-on Twitch stream, like that really was doing the normal Twitch thing, but doing it really, really well, instead of trying to transplant like a music act onto Twitch. You know, he was full-on just doing the gaming thing, doing the chatting thing, doing the jump scares with sound alerts and things like that. And you know, he does it so well on so many levels. I was like, okay, anything he tells me, any advice he gives me, I'm writing down because it's going to be gold. And yeah, it was weird. I was, you know, I was a little bit starstruck, but it's not quite the same, right? Because you know, a celebrity on Twitch is not necessarily the same kind of celebrity. And also, he's such a personable guy, you know. And I had talked to him like this on Discord and voice chat, and he's just so nice, you know. So it's easy not to be like, oh, you know, oh my God, I'm talking to the Raven Armed. But yeah, it was just really nice of him. He's a big fan of Magic. That's the thing. Like, you know, he just like when I was like a deer in the headlights when all of a sudden my camera was on that first time, and I was holding a deck of cards, because I usually am holding a deck of cards. He's like, oh, are you a magician? You know, show us something. I'm like, okay. You know, and it just kind of like just launched right into it. And you know, that's the thing. He likes Magic so much, and he wants to learn Magic, but of course he's super busy. So we're trying to find a time where I can start teaching him some stuff. But yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great experience meeting him outside of the stream, and then going on the stream with him. It's very different because you're not seeing the stream, you're seeing this, right? In fact, I don't think I was seeing him at all. I think he might have even had his camera off in the chat. I was just like, I'm hearing his voice. So I was like, I obviously have to mute the stream because Twitch is on a delay. But I was like occasionally trying to check the stream out live, which is 10 seconds behind or whatever, and just to see what other people are seeing. And I'm like, okay, I'm really small. I'm gonna have to hold cards way up to the camera. Certain tricks I can't do at all because there's no way anybody's gonna be able to see it because I'm a little inset box on, you know, in an already relatively small window. And it was a learning experience was the main thing. And also just a really fun time. You know, that was what I took away from it. And then he had me back on for the 1-year anniversary.
Oh, I saw
which
that.
was,
I
was
saw
much
you on
shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, on Sunday. So that was much shorter. It wasn't like a full 3-hour stream where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, and then actually it wasn't last night. It was the night before last night. So I stream on Tuesday nights. I ended up raiding into his stream because he usually doesn't stream on Tuesdays, but he postponed his Monday stream to Tuesday. So I'm like, oh, this is a super rare opportunity. I get to actually raid into Raven's stream, so that's cool. So we did that, and I was in the chat, for the next couple hours, whatever. And then all of a sudden I hear him say, because I typed something in chat, and I hear him say on the stream, he's like, actually, Info, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, I'm watching you. I was going to get on the treadmill, run a couple of miles, He's like, no pressure, but can you maybe come on and show us something? I'm like, oh, geez. Okay. Like I've already changed into running clothes and everything. And I'm like, all right, let me run 2 miles. I'll let you know in chat when I'm done. It'll be closer to the end, but I can come on, like 10 minutes and we'll do a quick thing. And it was great. I love that I can do that now. And he'll just like ask, and I'll be like, you know what? Yes, I'll absolutely, like, I'll be sweaty, but I will be there. And we'll do a quick 5-minute thing. And we did, and it was fun, and it went well. And it wasn't so crazy with like all stuff going off because it was towards the end of the stream and things had quieted down a little. And so that was my most recent time on, was 2 days ago, just off the cuff. He's just like, do you want to maybe do this? I'm like, sure.
That's so fantastic.
So, yeah.
So your next question is about Raven. Since we're on the topic of Raven, well, did you watch him due to the cosplay aspect of his streams or the family friendly?
It was, so again, I found him because Spooky Loopy raided into him, and she had seen him before, so she had mentioned in her stream, she's like, okay, we're gonna raid Raven. If you haven't seen Raven, you're gonna love him. He's a pirate, and but he's the most wholesome pirate you'll ever meet, and he plays scary games. And I'm like, this all sounds intriguing. Go on, And so we raided in there, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I love it. And it's just like a 3-hour extended Japanese game show. It just keeps going and going and going. And so I kept coming back, and she kept raiding in there as well. So even if I had forgotten, we'd raid in again. And I remember at one point I typed in his chat, every time I'm in here, somehow I'm surprised, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. And it's no different. It's the same. I'm seeing the same thing, and somehow it's still surprising. It took a long time to get used to just like that level of energy and empathy and everything. I mean, he's just got so much of that going on. So, honestly, I would not be doing this if it weren't for him, in many ways, for many reasons. And so I owe him a lot in terms of the things that I've gotten out of streaming on Twitch. I wouldn't have gotten, I think, if I hadn't randomly wound up in his stream and then randomly stumbled into his Discord video chat. It's funny how things work out. So the cosplay helped for sure, actually. Yeah, the whole Captain Jack thing, because his impression is perfect. It's perfect, and it makes sense. He'd been doing it. I found out later he'd been doing that cosplay at like Dragon Con for 10 years or something. But his impression is so good. It's so good, and if he doesn't want to break character, he doesn't have to. He can just be Jack Sparrow forever, and he'll nail it. So it was nice. I'm not a gigantic fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I really liked the first couple. I don't think I've seen them all. I think I've maybe the last 1 or 2. I don't think I've actually seen yet. I still need to. I would like to go back and see them. But it was less that he was cosplaying that character and more that he was so good at it, and somehow turned it into like this completely wholesome, family-friendly character in a family-friendly room, who was also an English teacher, who had teacher brain, and whenever anybody... and I could spot that. Like, I didn't know, but I'm like, I think this guy's a teacher. And eventually he mentioned on stream, I'm like, yep, nailed it. Because there's a certain kind of brain that you need to be an effective teacher, which is you need to be able to spot what every one of those 23 students is doing. And you could see it whenever anybody comes into his chat, he sees it right away. And he always acknowledges everything that happens, everything they do, you know, every cheer, every sub, everything. He's on top of it. And he's just like rattling through them. So he just has that brain where they're stacking up in the queue and then popping back off the top. He's just, he's really good at what he does. Everybody who goes into that stream feels heard and feels seen. And, you know, that's what he's all about. And there's a lot of people who need that. So especially during a pandemic.
Yes, definitely. So speaking of the pandemic, how did COVID affect your Twitch channel? Did you see an increase in viewers, a decrease in viewers? Did you get affected by the virus? Anyone around you?
Yeah, actually, I found out last night that somebody I know died this week. And I'm sorry to bring the room down, but like the message from me to everybody is please be careful. Please be careful. You know, hooray if you're fully vaccinated, but it doesn't fully protect you. You know, like please continue to wear masks. I know people have tried to turn it into a political issue, but honestly, it's a public health issue. That's all it is. It's protecting yourself. It's protecting the people you love, more importantly, the people who know you. You know, I didn't know this guy super well, but he's one of the magicians that I would hang out with every Wednesday night on Zoom, because during the pandemic, none of these magicians had anywhere to perform. So we were all hanging out and, you know, talking about these things. Super nice guy. And a month ago, he didn't show up. And, you know, I was like, oh, well, that's not unusual. I guess, you know, sometimes people can't make it. The next week, he's not there. I said, has anybody seen Tony? And the next week, I hear he's been in hospital for 3 weeks. And then last night, I hear he's died from COVID. And I always knew, I still feel this because I look at the numbers. You know, I'm not a super math guy, but I've got, you know, a math science background, and I look at the numbers, the trajectories, and I you know, I'll make the spreadsheets, and I'm not an epidemiologist, but every time I look at these numbers, I think everybody is going to be personally affected. And you may not lose somebody close to you. Maybe you'll just find out a friend of a friend died. But I mean, honestly, I feel like we're all going to lose somebody. Just not necessarily somebody close. And it's just, I really wish we could get a handle on this thing, but people are not doing what needs to be done. And I don't want to lose more friends. And, you know, that's, I'll get off the soapbox now, but that's like, you know, you mentioned COVID, that literally, you know, what was that? It was like 16 hours ago I found this out. I found out that this guy died. I mean, it's not going away anytime soon, if at all, and we need to be careful.
So
that's all I'll say. So that's why I'm streaming on Twitch. Yeah. That and many other reasons. But I mean, I didn't perform live really at all. I mean, I'm an enthusiast. I'm an amateur magician. It wasn't something I did for money. It was something I did to freak out friends or make life a little weirder for relatives. It was just entertainment, and it's something I'm interested in. So I was more interested in learning how to do it than I was in actually performing it. But you know, that's weird, right? Like it doesn't really exist until somebody's seen it. And so once the pandemic happened, I mean, I was alone. First it was me and my daughter, and then my daughter moved off to college. And then it's just me rattling around here, you know, doing the empty nest syndrome thing. And at first I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do magic over Zoom. And then I'm just going to email everybody I know and say, you can sign up at this website I've set up, schedule a time, we'll meet up on Zoom and I'll do magic for you. You know, if you ever want a card trick, let me know, I'll do it. But that was, you know, I was in the middle of trying to put all that together when the whole Raven thing happened. And it's like, you know what? Let's just do it over Twitch. Let's just see what happens if I do it over Twitch. And it's been great because, you know, yeah, please.
So what I'm trying to just piece together is that you did magic like in person at certain places, like you said, a theater. So what it sounds like is that you're catching up with the times and how things are now going from in person to everything's all totally online. And speaking of your relatives, did you ever use your magic to, you know, get out of a situation or a sticky situation?
Interesting. So first part first, again, I didn't really perform. Like literally my first ever appearance in a magic show was only a couple months ago, and it was over Zoom. Like I've never done an actual magic show. It's always been what some of us will refer to as like social magic. So it's all close up. It's all done with generally people who know me. Um, it's rare that it's like some random person in the street. I don't really do street magic or anything like that. So for me, it was less of a trying to adjust to um, online only. But I was developing, I mean, I came up with like my own magic tricks that worked over Zoom using Snapchat filters as things like that. Like I'm pretty comfortable with tech, even though I'm old. I mean, I was screwing around on Plato terminals like at a university when I was like 5 years old. My sister would drag me along, and I'd be playing like text-based games way back in the 70s before people knew that text-based games existed. So I kind of had even though I'm older, I had kind of an early start. So I've kept pretty well up with how those kinds of things go. So yeah, once Magic started moving to Zoom, I was transitioning pretty quickly to that, but a lot of people weren't. And I was helping people. They're like, well, how are you getting up, two cameras? How are you getting like you and I'm like, okay, let me tell you about OBS. Let me help you set it up, all that kind of thing. So I tend to get asked the tech questions. So like I'll get email from one of the magicians from this Wednesday night Zoom thing, and they're like, what do I need to do in order to teach magic over Zoom? Here's my setup. And I'm like, okay, the setup will work. Maybe don't invest in he's like, somebody told me I need to get a 4K camera. I'm like, Zoom doesn't even support 4K. Zoom barely supports 1080p, only if it's one-on-one, so don't spend money on that. Get a better mic, things like that. Just the stuff I've picked up, I try to pass that on. So it's been okay for me, I think, and I try to help other people. But in terms of trying to get out of a sticky situation, I don't think I have. I mean, usually if I need something like that, I rely more on tech than I do on magic, right? So it's like, oh, I know how to fake getting a phone call. So that's easy, so like, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. This is an important call. You get the fake phone ringer and all that kind of thing. It's the same techniques though. Anything that you're going to use to get out of something like that, that's the skill set comes from magic for me. It's deception. Magic is generally deception to entertain, but you can use that deception for nefarious purposes if you're that kind of person, or just to get out of a long-winded conversation like I'm boring you right now. So if you suddenly get a call, I'll know what's going on, and that's cool. I'll take the hint. But
no, it's fine. So this next question is a bit more about how magic is translated into movies. So what do you think the big budget movies misunderstand or have a misconcept of magic? Big example is Now You See Me Too. Is that magic they perform in theaters the same or similar to what you do in person?
It's a very interesting question to me because I loved Now You See Me and Now You See Me Too, not because I thought they were necessarily good movies, because I like a lot of terrible movies. I'm actually a huge fan of a lot of terrible movies. Actually, one of my pandemic projects, it was a dad joke that just got taken way too far because I mentioned my treadmill. I mean, I ran every day, not always on the treadmill, but I ran every day last year, and I wound up running 2,222.22 miles, like over the course of the year. But it's boring running on a treadmill for an hour. And so I used to watch horror movies. So I'd stream a horror movie and run on my treadmill and watch horror movies while I was running. And I made a throwaway joke to my kid over a text message or something. It was like, I'm watching so many horror movies while running on a treadmill. I should start a blog called Running Scared. Dumb dad joke, right? And then she's like, do it. I'm like, no, she's like, no, do it. I'm like, okay, fine. So yeah, I started a blog called Running Scared, and I reviewed like 50 movies that I watched while running on a treadmill. It was incredibly dumb. Again, it was just a throwaway joke taken too far. But I don't even remember why I got into this. But this is what happens on my stream all the time. It's like old man brain coupled with I'm just gonna talk until I run out of steam. But Remind me, what were you asking me?
Oh, what are your
What
thoughts on
was that
how?
question?
What are your thoughts on how
Oh, Now You See Me
movies?
Too. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
right. Okay. So the thing is, those movies have real magicians as consultants. They're working with real magicians. The problem is the story doesn't always allow for the use of real magic, like real practical magic. So movies like Now You See Me Too, a lot of that is grounded in fact, and a lot of it to a lay person audience, somebody who's not a magician, wouldn't necessarily catch that. They'd think this is all just fantasy, like real magicians don't use any of these things. Honestly, a lot of that stuff, real magicians do use a lot of those things. It's just the story requires that it's taken to a higher level. So what they're showing you is usually something that's done with CGI, or it's very obviously not staged that way. But it's all rooted in truth. It's just they take it a little too far so that you would never really see it done that way. But it's close. It comes from real magicians telling them, well, here's what we would do if we it's real in real life, and then they're like, that's too complicated for the story, we're going to change it a little bit. But so much of that is yeah, it's based in real stuff, and I've taken classes from some of the people who consulted on some of those movies. So yeah, they're real people, they're really nice, they know their stuff, and yeah, so examples I'll give. The Illusionist,
Oh yes.
which was
I think
yeah.
that was a TV show, wasn't it?
No, I think there was also a TV show, but I think the one I'm thinking of, I may have gotten the name wrong. It was an Edward Norton
Oh.
vehicle, Edward Norton movie. But it was a pretty good movie. Most of the magic in that, again, it drifted very far from what you would actually be able to do, especially in the time period that it was set. But it was all based on real stuff. But then you get something like The Prestige, which I love. Christopher Nolan, anything by Christopher Nolan, I'm gonna love. That stuff, almost all of that was supposed to be like practical stage magic was legitimate. And then, I won't spoil the movie, but the movie goes off into, well, what if this were real, So, yeah, honestly, the liberties that are taken in the big budget Hollywood movies are often, I think, due to the story being changed, or the story necessitating something being changed. But they're hiring real magicians and saying, how would you do this? And the magicians are saying, here's how I would do it. So it is all based in fact. And I didn't necessarily know that when I saw these movies, right? I'd be like, oh, I wish they had done this with like the way they would really do it. No, they were. It turns out they were. It's just I didn't know that because I wasn't so deeply into magic as I am now. And now I think that wasn't the way it was done, because it was.
So, like we were just talking about illusions. What are some illusions that you've practiced or you've performed on through Zoom?
Okay, so I think the nomenclature usually, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I feel like the nomenclature usually illusions refers to like stage size stuff. So the big stuff like banishing a tiger, that kind of thing. So I don't generally do any of that because I'm more of a close-up person. So there's close-up, there's parlor, there's stage illusions, and increasing size. So Houdini vanishing an elephant would be like a stage illusion. And then me doing a card trick on a mat, over Twitch, close up. And then some of the stuff I do is more parlor. So parlor would be like you're in front of an audience, but you're in a room. You're not on stage in a theater. The closest I get to like a stage illusion is somebody, a magician I love, came up with a version of Houdini's old Metamorphosis illusion, which is a classic. It's kind of the one that I think made his career. Where he would be handcuffed and then put in a sack, and they would lock the sack, and then put him in a trunk, and they'd lock the trunk with like 9 padlocks. And then his wife would get up on top of the trunk, raise a curtain, drop the curtain, and Houdini's standing on the trunk. And then they unlock the trunk, and there's somebody in the mailbag. They unlock that, they take the sack down, and it's his wife in handcuffs. And it all happens in like 3 seconds. It's like, you know, it's fantastic, especially for something that was well over 100 years ago. And somebody, a magician I love, came up with a version that you can do with cards. That's like the same thing, and it happens in like, you know, 10 seconds. It ends with a dad joke, so of course I'm gonna love it.
So,
But
speaking of those sack tricks,
so mostly doing the smaller things.
yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of the sack trick you just said, I believe there was a scene in the movie Now You See Me where they go into a vault and they throw the guy inside the vault onto a river. Is that something magicians actually are able to do and escape out of?
Yeah, escape artists do that. So there's some people will draw a pretty stark line between magic and escape artist acts. I think the line is pretty blurry. So a lot of people won't agree with me, but Houdini was a great magician, but you know, he's kind of known household word-wise as like the greatest magician ever. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but he was like a super great showman and a really great escape artist. Not that he wasn't a fantastic magician, but I do think that if you're talking pure magic, you know, like performance magic, there's possibly others who were better than he was even. But yeah, he absolutely did things, and other escape artists have done things where, you know, you're manacled, locked in a sack, thrown into the river, and they have to escape. Yeah, that's been done. The water torture chamber is a common one. So you're suspended upside down.
Yeah. So speaking
it's a real thing.
So speaking of magic, what's some magic you have planned or are working on for future projects for your Twitch streams?
So I'm always learning new stuff because, again, with like a regular magic show, you spend months putting together 60 to 75 minutes, and then you spend however many weeks or months performing that exact same thing and refining it slightly over time as you figure out how to make it better or how to, you know, like trim the problem areas. But that's a different audience every night. So Twitch is totally different, right? Because Twitch, you're trying to build an audience that's going to come back every stream. That's the idea, is you're building a community. And so you can't do that. You can't do that kind of paradigm of, here's my show, keep coming back and watch me do the exact same thing every night. You know, it's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. And also magic, generally speaking, relies on an aspect of surprise. So if somebody's seeing the same thing more than once, they know what to look for. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll figure out how to do it, although that can be the case. But also the effect is lessened because they know what's coming. So these effects, they're written like stories, you know, and if you know the end of the story, there's a different, you know, it's not necessarily lesser, but there's a different experience getting to that. So for me, on Twitch, it's just, I'm looking for routines that I like, or I'm remembering old things that I did years ago that I've done, and I'm just taking notes. I try to do a theme stream every Saturday. It doesn't always work out that way, but it'll be like, all right, fire, let's do a fire stream. What are tricks that involve fire in some way? I'm a big pyro, so there's a lot of them. But and then for like Thursdays, my Thursday afternoon stream is much more of like if I were a musician, it would be like a live learn stream, right? So, but as a magician, it's kind of like an open rehearsal. It's like, well, here's a technique I learned. I've not done it in front of anybody yet. Let's see how it works on camera. I don't necessarily have a routine built around it. So like today, we had somebody in chat. I said, well, let's I don't know if this is going to work, but you know, like I've got business cards, I've got a Sharpie. I'm just going to like write a prediction, fold it up, put it on the mat. It's on camera. I put a wine glass over it so I can't touch it. And then I had him like pick a category, and he said countries. And I said, okay, I want you to name a country that means something to you, not just a random one. But it doesn't have to be a place you've been. Maybe it's a place you want to go. Maybe it's on your bucket list, you know. And he says Canada. And I said, well, why? And he says, I've met a lot of streaming friends in Canada. I'd like to visit them. I said, okay, that's great. And then, you know, we take the wine glass off the card that's folded up, and I unfold it, and it says Canada. You know, so there's not much to that. It's a short routine, but it was a test for me to see if that would work. in this medium, and it did. So now I can take that and try to incorporate the techniques I use there into something larger and a little bit more. I mean, I've done routines on stream, a single routine that'll be like 35 minutes long, because there's a conversation happening with multiple people, and so things slow down. It's harder to, like a traditional magic show, you would choreograph that all. You'd block it all out. You'd know exactly how long everything takes. You'd time yourself so that you hit your marks. And that's not Twitch at all. And I wouldn't want that to be Twitch, right? So I generally don't do the things where it's just like, watch me do a cool thing. And sometimes I do, because it's very easy. You don't have to interact with chat. You don't have to worry about trying to bring somebody in on live Discord voice chat. I love doing that because I can do different magic. I don't have to, this is like, it makes sense, right? So if I were going to do a card trick for you, I can't be like, pick a card. Even over live chat, we can't do that. What I can do is I can be like, I'm going to do this, you say stop, and then when you say stop, you're like, okay, did you mean this one or this one before it, and then we can do that live. But if we're just in Twitch on chat, I had to come up with a whole different way of doing that. And so it's like, all right, I'm going to touch a button that's going to play some piano music. And while that's playing, I'm going to thumb through slowly like this. And yes, there's a delay, so it's not going to stop when you hit return. But if you type !stop and press return, that's going to cut the music with a needle scratch, put a big red stop up on the screen, and I'll know when to stop. And then I'll say, okay, that was obviously going to be later than you said. Did you want me to go back? But there's all these like hoops you got to jump through to deal with the fact that people are not live with you. They're on a delay. Everything you're doing, they're seeing 5 to 20 seconds late. And they can only communicate by typing. So that's the challenge. And the fun is, how do you do this? So I've come up with like incentive programs to get people who are camera shy to, join my Discord, get a volunteer role, and then join me live on stream so that we can do live interactive magic. So we've got a thing called the Abracardabra. It's like when you go to Starbucks and they stamp your card, you get 10, your 10th cup of coffee is free, that kind of thing. Yeah. So we've got, I programmed all the code and I've got all the graphics and everything. So if you come on stream and do magic with me, every trick, I've got a command I can type, pulls up a card with your name on it on screen, and it's got 10 zombie heads on it, stamps the next zombie head. You fill the card up with 10, I'll send you something. It could be like a deck of cards. I'm a retired baker. I can send you peanut butter brownies. But, anything to get people to join me live, because we can do so many different kinds of magic compared to what I can do with just chat. So, awesome. It's a challenge, but it's been fun.
So your next question is to your previous answer about a escape artist. Have you tried, or do you plan to become an escape artist at some point in your career? And second part to that question is, who do you look up to in the magic world?
Okay. First thing, escape artist, it's not really on my radar, but I'm new enough at all this where it's interesting, because I've always been a cards person. But I've started getting into coins, which is harder. It's harder to learn sleight of hand with coins. So like today, I've got a point redemption called Kill It With Fire. And if you redeem that, it could be any of a number of things. It could be I just set off a small fireball because I'm a pyro, as I said. But sometimes, like today, it'll be like, okay, let's do a trick that involves fire. And so, I'll take out some flash paper, light it, and it turns into a coin. And then I went into a full coin routine with that, So I am definitely open to trying different parts of magic that I haven't tried yet. I used to do very basic escape art kind of things when I was younger. And I'm not super interested in it, but I may, you never know. I may come back to it. I don't know. In terms of magicians I look up to, there are a ton. My favorite currently working magician is Carissa Hendricks, who, her current show, she performs in a persona named Lucy Darling, which, that's her poster right there. And I actually recommend, and I've told her, I'll tell random people in the street to go on Google and, not even Google, go to YouTube directly, type in Lucy Darling. And one of the things that'll come up is a 1 hour long show that is free to watch and it's from the Chicago Magic Lounge, which is a fantastic venue that I've never gotten to go to, but eventually. And yeah, it's a professionally shot and cut together performance of hers at the Chicago Magic Lounge. You can watch for free on YouTube. And she is hilarious and really great at what she does. She's super smart. I originally found out about her because I was looking for like video lectures and things to learn new stuff. I found her lecture and it was like 5 hours long. And I was like, what? And I got it. And it's just like, the most amazing thing to me, she does these different personas. And so she covers like maybe 5 different magic routines. And then you get to see her perform them to an adult audience in a nightclub, and everything is patterned around drinking. But then you see her do the same tricks to a bunch of kids in a completely different persona, and it's like a children's party, and she's doing the same routines but tailored to a different audience. So I have the utmost respect for her skills, both as a magician and just as an entertainer. The main thing is she's so good at playing to a particular audience. Like, her knowledge of how audience psychology works is unparalleled. And she went to art school, so she knows about lighting. She knows about, she gave a great lecture once that I got to see about tiny changes in lighting, changing the entire tone of your show, just things like that. So yeah, everybody look up Darling on YouTube. Watch that show. It's hilarious. If you need an hour of just hilarious magic, that is the way to go. Absolutely.
Awesome. That's completely awesome. I'll definitely look her up. But your next question, this is a completely optional question for you. But would you mind giving us a run-through breakdown of your magic, like behind the scenes?
Sure. Well, so Twitch is an interesting thing. I mean, the same applies to Zoom, but anytime you're doing magic in this space, it changes what you can do, both in ways that limit you and in ways that free you. But it means that, what you can't see over here is I've got about 20 decks of cards.
Oh, wow.
And, so it's like, there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. They're just like tons of cards because they're not, they're regular decks, but they may be set up in different ways. And that's not necessarily a big secret. It might be that, I'm going to do a trick where I need to have all the red cards and all the black cards separated so I can show them to you before I mix them. And it's just much easier to have that set up ahead of time instead of, okay, wait while I, separate these out. Okay, now we can continue. So a lot of it is just in order to make it easier and keep things moving. It's like, okay, I know that this deck over here is a full deck with no jokers. I can just launch right into something. Or if there's a trick that needs the 2 jokers, I know I've got one over here that has 2 jokers, and so on. That Houdini metamorphosis trick that I talked about that somebody turned into a card trick. One thing that helps about this particular kind of deck, I don't even know if I have the jokers in here, because again, I'm done with the stream today. But yeah, maybe I don't. But the jokers for this particular deck are, they look a little like Houdini. So like, if I'm going to do that trick, I use this deck. It's just like silly things like that. But also just because I'm a freak and I love cards. I'm not so much a collector, but, a friend of mine, a magician friend of mine that I met over Twitch, who's in Singapore, and I've had him on stream, where we're doing like magic together between Boston and Singapore. He had a deck of cards that was these Legend of Zelda playing cards.
Oh wow!
Which are fantastic. I'm not sure if you can see the pips there at the bottom. So instead of so you have a Triforce instead of clubs, and the gem instead of diamonds and everything. So he had these on stream, and one of my viewers was like, "Oh my god, I love Zelda! I've got Zelda tattoos and everything." And it was his birthday recently, and so I got these on eBay. I'm going to send them to him as a late birthday present. But so I always have, I just picked these up. I haven't even opened these yet. These are volcano themed cards.
Now, would you mind giving us a
in terms of ones
of your coin trick?
That particular, the one that I did today. I mean, I can try to do it again. I don't even know. Let me see. So yeah, somebody redeemed Kill It With Fire, and what happens with that is, like, I've got the on-screen graphics. It says, this person redeemed Kill It With Fire, and there's flames, so I know somebody did it. Let me see. I think I needed a. So I'm not using my Twitch overlay, so I'm a little. Will this work? Yeah. Okay. Split screen. So I'm over here. I'm also over here. Is my mat. My incredibly expensive close-up mat that I keep melting every time I do a fire trick. It's a shame. You can't see it on camera, which is nice because it's full of all these pits where things have landed on it while burning. But if I screw this up, I'm not gonna be too concerned. But we'll give it a try. We'll give it a try. So this is flash paper. It burns very well. It's supposed to burn very quickly, but what I found is it's been so humid, it's not burning as quickly as it should, and so that's why I've been having trouble. But so we got flash paper. Basically, it's supposed to burn very quickly and not leave any ash behind. So that's how magicians do the little sparky thing. And I've got a lighter that hopefully still has enough fluid in it. So let's see how we do here. Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
So start with a.
That's awesome.
Start with a coin. Yeah, so we start with a coin production, and then let me see how this works. So I don't know. Did you have like an uncle or a grandfather or something who used to like pull coins out of your ear?
Yeah, I had a friend who.
Because that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the that's sort of like the old fashioned thing. Magicians generally don't do that anymore, but I'm old fashioned, and so I'll do like one more for the road, right? So we'll have two coins, one from fire, one from the ear, and the modern way, if you were gonna get a third coin, the modern way would be like you're gonna pull it from the air, right? So I'm just gonna like reach into thin air and grab it, and then you'd have a third coin. But the third coin is actually over here already.
Over where?
Okay, so we've got three here now, right? The thing is, when you have coins that you've produced magically, they go pretty quickly as well. So we can just take one, kind of crumble it up, and then that coin's gone. So now we're left with the two. So did you happen to see where that one went?
No.
Okay, so one of the reasons I wear a vest is because there's the pockets, so it tends to go to the vest pocket. That's the usual space. So we'll go with another one here. So we'll take another one, kind of crumble that up. So now that's gone as well. So again, did you see that one?
Yeah.
Go, because that. Yeah. So again, it's a vest pocket thing. But did you see that one go?
Yes. Where
yeah.
Where
Okay.
did it
So
go?
so that one. Well, I mentioned the vest pocket, right? So sometimes I have to dig a bit, but no, I didn't actually go to the vest pocket. It's actually still there. Right. So this is me getting, just like learning about coins. So that's a 3-coin routine that I was messing with today. So
That's awesome.
it's thanks. Yeah, I'm still learning. I learned that on Tuesday. And I said, well, I should probably practice it before I do it live, but then somebody redeemed Kill It With Fire. I'm like, you know what? No, we're doing this now. Let's see if it works. And I did it Tuesday night. It worked okay. It wasn't perfect. This wasn't perfect either, but it's enough to, and it gives me a chance to do it again, and that's how I learn is, it's practice. So that's the kind of thing I do on stream, right? So we'll be talking about whatever. And sometimes, again, you can tell, right? I'm a motor mouth. I live. So it's like, oh, somebody's going to let me talk. I'm going to talk forever. So, but I had to put a bell command. So exclamation point bell in my chat will ring a it rings a desk bell for service. So it means shut up and do some magic, you know. And I take no offense at that, you know, that's fine. So yeah, it's the kind of thing I do. It's fun, you know, little close-up things mostly.
Awesome. So, is there any tough challenges that you went through when you were trying to learn magic? And is there anything you can say to some viewers who want to learn magic, who are stuck in a position they don't know how to move on from that magic trick?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that when I was young and trying to learn, my hands were too small to do the moves. You know, I'm reading these like not so much advanced magic books, but like the books that I got at the magic store were intended for magicians to learn from, not kids who were starting out. So honestly, the best way to start out, well, there's two good ways to start out if you're a beginner. One is kids' magic books. It's actually a great way to start learning because you're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be like, oh, you need this piece of equipment that costs $90. No, because it's targeted at kids. It's going to be stuff you have around the house. So honestly, what I do is I go to the library, back when libraries were open, go to the kids section and go to the Dewey Decimal number for magic and just take a look at the books that are in the kids section and start from there. But you know, it's a semi-shameless plug in that I actually, you know, I don't want too many people doing this, but one of the subscriber perks in my channel is that if you're subscribed to my channel and you've tied your Twitch and your Discord, in my Discord, you'll see a separate sub-only channel that's a classroom. So it's a video chat and a classroom discussion text chat. So anybody who's a subscriber can post in the text chat and say, I want to learn something. And I'll say, cool, let's find a time. And then we'll meet up on voice chat. I'll teach you basically, you know, a beginner magic trick live, you know, because it can be a lot easier to learn if somebody's teaching you than reading a book. And, you know, I can't be there walking you through it, but I can be on video with you. And it worked out, you know, like the last time somebody wanted this, they were in my channel and I had mentioned this and they immediately subscribed. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then in the Discord right away, they posted, I'm going out to a bar with friends tomorrow night. I need to learn something tonight. And I was like, all right, are you free at 9? You know, and we met up and I taught them what I consider to be the best first card trick for people to learn, because if you're an adult, you can use it to scam free drinks at a bar. Always a good thing. And, you know, since he was going to a bar, I figured this is a great thing. It's like a sucker bet thing that, you know, that works great. And he was in my stream the next time I was on, like on Saturday or something. And he said, well, the bar thing, we ended up not doing that, but I used that trick. I did laundry today. I used that trick to scam free quarters to do laundry at the laundromat. I was like, hey, you know, whatever floats your boat, however you want to roll, it's cool with me. But yeah, so if people check out my stream and want to subscribe, I'll teach you something in the Discord if you want. But yeah, otherwise, well, these days certainly YouTube, right? There's so much stuff on YouTube.
There is. And your next question is, what are some funny moments that have happened to you while streaming or recording a video?
Yeah, when I record videos, it's pretty rare. So I don't post things on YouTube or anything like that for the most part. The only time I've done that is like, so another streamer I know that I met that night, the first night in Raven's stream, was like, I want you to record something for my birthday stream, which is in 4 months. And I was like, okay. And then I promptly, you know, just did nothing. I did nothing, you know, until right before. And then I'm like, okay, it's 1:30 in the morning. I guess I'm recording an 11-minute routine and then uploading it to like an unlisted thing so that you can watch it on stream for her birthday stream. And it was cool. It wasn't great. I only had one take because I'm writing on the cards. So I was like, if I screw this up, it's done. So we're just going to make the best of it. And, you know, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. And I was relieved. It was 1:30 in the morning and I sent it off to her. And I got to see her watch it on stream. And the reactions afterwards were priceless. You know, it was great. So I had a really good time. And then I sent her the deck. You know, I was like, do you want this deck? And she's like, yeah, and sent it to her. So that's the pre-recorded kind of things I do. It's usually birthday related or whatever. But in terms of like, I don't know so much funny things that happen on stream, but again, I make mistakes constantly. Like if you want to see a magician screw up, yeah, come see me, because again, a lot of this is brand new to me. It's like, oh, I learned this yesterday. Well, let's try it right now. It's probably a terrible idea, but we'll give it a shot. So yeah, I had one thing that I had made up, like one of my original effects. I don't have many. Where one time I was performing it on stream, I had forgotten that, and it relies on some level of tech. Without giving too much away, I had improved it, but I had forgotten that I had improved it. So I was performing it the previous way because I hadn't done it in a while, and it completely failed. And people are typing in chat, it's like, we see exactly what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know. Oh well, like, let me walk you through how this was supposed to work. And that's the kind of thing that I get messed up with a lot. So like on Raven's stream the other night, I was like, well, what can I do? Like, we didn't plan this. He's just like, can you come on for like 10 minutes and do a thing? I'm like, yeah, sure. But it's such a small window that I'm performing in. I was like, coins aren't going to show up. Cards barely show up if I'm holding them right up to the screen. Maybe I'll do a Rubik's Cube thing, because that's colorful. It's pretty easy to hold close to the camera, So I did a Rubik's Cube effect, and that was fine. But I had to remind myself, the last time I did that on stream, on my stream, same thing happened. I had forgotten that I had improved it, and so I was performing it the old way, and it was set up for the new way, and so I completely screwed that up too. Although I kind of got to fix that. I kind of turned it into a different trick at the last second. But yeah, it's like, I don't know that it's ever super funny. I like to refer to my stream as the least hype stream on Twitch because it's very mellow. It's like I'm older, the audience is generally older. It's not like lots of weird sounds and flashing lights and things. I don't have a gamer chair with programmable LEDs. It's generally a mellow time, some magic going on. But there's also fire. That's about as far as the the excitement goes. Is like, I'll burn things a lot. So yeah, in terms of like funny stuff happening, it's a different kind of funny, I think. So like, once I realized I'm this much older than everybody else on Twitch, I think somebody looked it up for me. They're like, oh yeah, the average age of Twitch users is 19. I'm like, oh my God. So I really am old enough to be everybody's dad. And once I realized that, I made a channel point redemption called Twitch Dad. So if you save up enough points and you redeem Twitch Dad, and somebody redeemed it today, I have to go put on a cardigan, and I got a pipe, I'll put on the reading glasses, and I got a mug of tea, with the cardigan. It's a whole thing. And then for 3 minutes, I'll be your Twitch Dad and give you unsolicited and outdated advice about things that don't apply anymore. Like the running gag is like, oh yeah, and that'll save you $37, which, as everyone knows, is enough to buy a house. Things like that. So there's some comedy built in, but it's a mellower kind of comedy, I think.
Awesome. So your next question is, what's something you wish you would have known before being a streamer, content creator, or magician that you now know now? What would you tell yourself?
The biggest thing by far is don't be afraid of failure. Like, embrace it. Fail all the time. It's great. It's the only way to learn. It's so freeing. That's been the biggest thing for me for Twitch, by far. Is I used to be terrified of performing anything for anybody because it was always, what if it goes wrong? And the answer is, it goes wrong. And then you say, welp, and you move on. I literally just added a welp emote to my stream. So it's a little gravestone that says welp across it. And I added a channel point redemption. So if I screw up on stream, somebody can pop up a gravestone that covers my whole body. It just says welp right across it, and it plays an organ chord from a funeral march, because it's not the end of the world, and that's the only way you learn is by screwing things up. And it's helped in other ways too. It's not just magic or even Twitch or anything like that. It's like just generally in life, I think I'm more okay with trying things that I'm not sure are going to work. And that's very different for me. Like, it took me almost 50 years to get to that point, but I'm very happy that that's what Twitch gave to me, is the ability to just be like, yeah, let's try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What's the worst that can happen? So
Awesome. So
yeah, that's what I would say, is like, if I knew that earlier, I would have had a very different life. I would have, like, it's one of those things. It's like, I think a lot of people come to it earlier, but a lot of people never come to it at all. So I'm happy I came to it even at this age. But yeah, it's one of those things, like, if I could go get back in time and tell myself that, I know I wouldn't have listened. So it's a catch-22, but that would be the thing. Like, if you can embrace failure early, you're going to have a much more fun life, I think.
So we're finally at our last 3 questions and the speech at the end. So we typically do a speech to give viewers motivation or to recap what we talked about. So your next question is, what was your motivation for streaming when you started out, and how has it changed since you became affiliated?
Okay, that's a good question. So my original motivation was just, I know some magic, I have nobody to see it. I have nobody to perform it to. And so as I mentioned, I had been working on trying to come up with a way to, like, corral people into Zoom. And I had done that with a few people, like friends, family. It's like, can we meet up so I can try some things on camera over Zoom? And, they were very cool about helping with that. But once I randomly stumbled into Twitch, and I suddenly had all these, I had 52 followers. So it's like, well, the affiliate thing is just going to be me streaming for a month, and then I'll hit affiliate. So there's no grind involved. It's just, me learning how this all works. So not much changed with affiliate, because I got it very quickly. And that was always the goal. It wasn't to make the money as an affiliate. It was, now you have channel points, so you can program cool things to happen. And now you have emotes. So your daughter can, like, design custom emotes for, like, your zombie mascot and everything. So it was always just about, like, how can we make this more fun for me? Hopefully for everybody else too, but mostly for me. I'm just having fun with this. Yeah. So it hasn't really changed per se.
Awesome.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Did that cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
They answered the question. Yeah. So your next question is, what's something scary that happened to you while performing magic? Maybe you burnt yourself, or maybe you missed it a step.
Yeah, I've burnt myself plenty of times, never badly. I once didn't realize. Do I still have it? Yeah. So I was learning a classic routine called Phoenix, which is basically you set fire to a napkin, pinch it out, and then the hole's gone. It's restored. But this candle used to be much taller, and my mic is right here. So yeah. So when I was first trying this out, this was a full candle, and the flame was, like, right under, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. Move it over. I'm like, yeah, that's really hot. It was fine. Sure, they make good microphones. They can withstand candle flame for a little while, apparently. Scary stuff. I mean, yeah, I've burned hair off my hands when fire things have gone slightly wrong. In terms of, like, starting to panic when a trick's going wrong, yeah, that's happened. I can't necessarily say specifically what was going on, but it's like, and now I'm at a step where something is supposed to have happened and it hasn't happened, or I'm supposed to be looking at a specific set of cards and those aren't the cards that I'm looking at, and it's just like, what do I do now? And it's good when that happens, because then it's like, you get better at improvising, and sometimes you can get out of it and people don't even realize that the thing you've just turned it into is not what you were intending it to be. Other times it just, okay, it completely fell apart and you just acknowledge it and move on. But yeah, those are the scary moments. And the fun part is that people don't always know that you're just, like, panicking And I'll watch the VOD back, and it's like, oh, I actually look pretty calm, but I'm terrified right at that moment. Like, you see the exact moment where it's like, that's not what I'm supposed to be looking at. How do I get out of this one? And it happened actually Tuesday night. I was trying a brand new thing that I had never even practiced before. Dumb, but it's sometimes somebody will say something in chat, and it's like, oh my God, it's a perfect lead in to that thing that I was going to learn for next week. Let's just try it now. And I was having tech problems, and I had to like vamp for like ages because I had to like reset some hardware, and I'm just talking through it and like making up stories as this thing is going on. And eventually it worked out pretty well. It was basically like we're all making up a story. I was like, hey, remember that time we were all 14 of us in chat were all hanging out 3 years ago? Remember that? Remember that, everybody? We were all hanging out. And then a celebrity came up. Who was that? Somebody mentions Britney Spears. I'm like, oh yeah, Britney Spears. That's right. But I mean, basically, you're concocting this story with everybody, and everybody's getting into it. And they're like, oh yeah, and she wanted a reservation for 6:51 p.m. Who does that? That's a celebrity thing. And but the end result is that I pull a photo out of my wallet that shows the reservation. Like, I don't know if that'll show up on this camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the reservation is at the right time with the right initials, and the restaurant name is the name of the restaurant that somebody mentions. And but yeah, it took an awful long time to get there because things were not working the way they should. And I'm like, all right, let's just make it. But people liked it. That's the thing. Like, on this side, I know what's not working. On that side, people don't always know what's not working. And that's the goal, is to like hide the things that are falling apart. Yeah. So they're scary, but I'm getting used to them.
So your next question is a two-part question. What's your Twitch goal? And the second part is, if you could stream with anyone famous, a magician, an actor, a singer, or a content creator, who would it be and why?
Oh boy. So my Twitch goal, I set the small goals just because it keeps things from stagnating. So it's like, oh, we hit 200 followers. Okay, we'll see if we can get to 300. But it's not like a grind to get to 300 followers. It's just, and I'll put up a subscription goal for the month just because it's something to look at, and more subscribers means more people I can teach magic to. That kind of thing. There's no big overall goal like, oh, I want to parlay this into a career, or I want to be able to quit my job and make money just doing Twitch streams or anything like that. It would be nice, but it's not like the thing I'm working toward. Honestly, the only real goal is I get to learn magic, I get to do magic, and people get to see it. And so I'm kind of already there. If I never get more than 10 people in chat, I mean, how many people do I need to have to do magic to? Honestly, I'm used to performing to one person. So it's fun having more people. But if it got up to like 90, I mean, what would I even do? Like, there'd be no way to interact with all those people. So yeah, my goals are humble in that it's really what I'm already doing. I want to learn new magic, which I continually do, because that's the nice thing, is it pushes me forward. Because I can't keep doing the same tricks forever on Twitch. It just doesn't work. Like, people have seen that. Time for something new. So I'm always learning, and that's really helpful. Twitch keeps me needing to be on the lookout, getting new stuff, learning new stuff, reading the books, getting the videos, and so on. Streaming with anybody, that's also an interesting question for me, because I don't really know how to answer that. So, well, yeah, I've considered it. And I've talked to people, like other streamer friends, most of whom are musicians, right? So when I'm bringing people on stream with me through Discord, it's to do magic with them. But so, for instance, maybe it was last Saturday. I can't even, what even is time, right? When none of us knows anymore. But I had an evening stream where one musician that I really like popped into my stream, and I said, oh, that's awesome. Any chance, since you're a streamer, I know you don't have, camera fright, and I know you have equipment, any chance you can come on with me and we'll try something that I haven't done before again. And he's like, yeah, I'm streaming later, so I was just setting up. So yeah, I can come on. And he was on for like half an hour, and it was great. And we did a really fun like mentalism thing where I took, this deck of cards, put it into a wine glass, and had him name any card and then name any number from 1 to 52, and imagine putting a card from a different deck, like a regular red backed bicycle deck, in the deck at that number. And then, we counted them out, and we get to a red card at that number, and turn it around, and it's not his card. It's the word that he was thinking of. I told him to concentrate, and I was like, well, what word? He's like, ocean. I'm like, okay, cool. We turn it around, and it says ocean. And I'm like, so it didn't really work, But, I empty the cards out, so it's an empty glass now. I'm like, don't think about ocean so much. Just think about that one card again. It's like, okay. And then it just appears in the glass, and it's the right card. So it was really fun. I'd never done that before. I'd done a version of it, but there was like a whole additional thing because we were doing like a numbers and words themed stream. So yeah, it was a Saturday night. And so I was like, well, what if he's thinking of like a word? He's concentrating on a word to make this happen. And then it turns out that word is on the card instead of the card he was supposed to make. So yeah, in terms of bringing people on, it's always to do magic with them. So like, while it would be really cool to bring Carissa Hendricks on, that would be, I'm not going to do magic for her. That would be us talking about magic, which would be fine too. Yeah, it's tough. I'd have to think about it in two ways, like who would be the most fun person to bring on to do magic with, to actually like do a routine with. And, that would be somebody who's not a magician, right?
Yeah.
So, but then, yeah, if I were going to have just like a magician on with me, it'd probably be somebody like Carissa Hendricks, or even just one of the people I hang out with on Zoom. There's no like big celebrity that'd be like, oh my God, I totally want to, have you on stream.
So your next question
I
is...
think maybe I'm weird that way.
So your next question is also a two-part question. Then we have a last question after that. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from where you are right now? And second part is, what's the biggest mistake or challenge you faced that really had a turning point towards your career?
Well, my career is different than what I'm doing. So, I mean, I don't really have a career. That's the main thing, is I have a lot of interests and a really short attention span. So I've always had jobs instead of like a career where I'm following a path to advancement. And the plus side of that is that one of the things I've always wanted to do well was I wanted to be a dad, and I got to do that. And I mean, I saved up at my job out of college so that when I had a kid, I could quit. And I literally did. I quit. My last day was like 3 days before my daughter was born. And then I was home with her for 7 years. And I was a full-time dad. I was one of her Girl Scout leaders. I volunteered in her classroom 4 days out of 5. That was what I wanted to do, and I got to do it, and I'm super glad. It was the hardest job I've ever done, but it was also the best thing I've ever done. And now she's my mod. So everything works out. She's the daughter raider in my stream. And I do pay her. Important to know. Which means that I feel justified in also embarrassing her when the mood strikes me. But anyway, yeah. So I don't really have a career per se. Maybe this is going to be the career, not necessarily on Twitch, but maybe in 5 years. So the job I have, my day job, that is very kind to let me stream in the afternoons on Thursdays. It's not going to be around forever. It's a job that has zero job security. It could disappear tomorrow, and then I'll be out of a job. But I've been at that job for 11 years. I took it knowing full well it could always end the next day, and it's been going all this time. So it's been great. It was a risk I took that paid off really well. So in 5 years, I probably won't have this job and that day job. So I don't know where I'll be. Again, since I don't have a career path per se, I may be in a different tech job. I may be doing something completely different. I could see myself working with kids. But I've considered trying to make the leap and becoming a professional magician. I mean, it may happen. I don't know. It's all going to depend on what happens with the day job I have now, where it goes, and how I feel once I get out of it, how much time I have before I run out of money. So it's like, if I end up with like severance that carries me through a few months, maybe, yeah, I just buckle down and who knows, maybe I try to build up the Twitch stream into something that makes enough money for me to live on. But more likely, because again, it's not the kind of stream that generates money, more likely it would be, okay, throw myself into the magic, take the stuff I've learned from streaming magic on Twitch, adapt it into restaurant gigs, corporate gigs, parties, and then just, make money as a professional magician. Who knows? I don't know. So 5 years from now, all I know is I probably won't be doing what I'm doing now. That's the truth of the matter. I'll also be even older, so I'll be less hireable, especially in tech. So, tricky. It's tricky. Anybody looking to get into tech, it's kind of got a built-in, there's an old movie called Logan's Society. It's a perfect society because you get killed when you're 30. There's nobody older than 30 or something like that. And so, the whole movie is like, everybody's got a crystal in their hand that starts flashing once they're due for expiration. And I think they like shoot you into the air and blow you up. It's like a big celebration. But, the guy is like, well, I'd rather live. And he escapes into the wilderness and everything. But that's tech. That's working in tech. Like, you get to a certain age, and if you're not in the same job where you're advancing, getting a new job can be really problematic. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, 5 years from now, I mean, I don't even know what I'm for dinner tonight. I mean, I haven't had lunch yet, so who knows? It's going to be a couple times last week, more than once last week for dinner. I had ice cream and pork rinds. I do not make good decisions. And that's why I'm here. So yeah.
Awesome. So your last question, before your speech, is what trends are occurring in the magic industry that you have tried or have successfully recreated?
Trends. There's like an ebb and flow with certain things. So like I mentioned, I was doing cube magic. Cube magic was huge a few years ago. I completely missed the boat on it. I was like, well, that doesn't sound like fun. The only reason I'm doing cube magic now is because another streamer I like did an 80s night where she had a Rubik's Cube on. I was like, you know what? These came out when I was a kid. I was tiny, but I'm of an age where I was in 4th grade when cubes came out, and everybody in my class had one, and nobody knew how to solve them. But my dad got me a book, and it had, like, if you're looking at this, then do these moves. And so I could solve the cube. It took me forever, but I could do it reading the book. And word got out on the playground that I could do that. And then everybody's coming to me with their cubes, like, fix my cube. And I was like, all right, fine. And that was my recess, was fixing people's cubes. And I'd be like, I want to play cricket, And so they'd be like, well, I'll give you my chocolate bar. I'm like, okay. And so I'm still fixing cubes. And this is like a perfect metaphor for what happens to people who wind up in a career or a job that isn't especially fulfilling, but is paying well, So you have to be careful about that kind of thing. So I eventually, stopped doing that whole thing. But that brought me back to that. And so I came up, I found a routine that I could tie into me being in 4th grade with cubes. And so there were trends in magic. Yeah, certain things catch on, and then everybody's tricks, and then they recede away. And that's usually when I pick them up, because I'm always late to the party. Same thing with music. I'll get into a band. I'll be like, oh my God, how I people. And then they broke up last week. Every time I get into a new band, they broke up last week. It's just, yeah, I'm always late. So.
And we reached the end of the podcast, but before we move on to your speech, would you mind doing one more last little magic trick?
Sure. Well, I was talking about the cube thing. I think it may not work, but we'll give it a shot. So 4th grade me, again, sitting down laboriously fixing people's cubes for football cards and chocolate would really, and I did do a little bit of Magic way back then. You know, I was like 11, 10 or 11. I don't even know. What's fourth grade? Who knows? But you'll help me mix this up more. Okay, so we know it's fully mixed up. The easiest way to do it is this is up, this is down, this is right, this is left, this is the front for me, this is the back. So if you say like back 2, I can turn that twice, right 2, up 1. So just start telling me things to do. You can also tell me to like throw it up in the air and scramble the sides, and then, you know. So yeah, so up, down, front, back, left, right.
All right. Up 3.
Let's try it.
Left 5, down 3.
Okay.
And then right 1.
1, 2, 3. Right 1. All right, cool. Is that good? How about we do that and give me a couple more, and we'll just make sure it's
down 2, up 5, left 6, right 8.
Okay, left I'm just going to do 2 because anything over 4 you're just looping over again.
All
so
right.
And then right 8 means nothing because if you move it 8 it's back to where it was. So well, I'll just do like 2 of them or something like that, you know. So does that look pretty well mixed to you?
That looks pretty well mixed.
Okay, so fourth grade me would have come up with this. This is the fourth grade. Okay, this is one of those things hard to remember to do. It's like, right, this has to stay in frame because as soon as it leaves frame, it's like, oh, you just switched the cube. So you know, maybe we'll give it a few more mixes, right? So this is the one we mixed. All right, so fourth grade magic trick. I've got a bag. I've got a mixed up cube. We put the mixed up cube in the bag. We wait a sec. The cube is solved. The cube is solved. It's amazing, right?
How?
Yeah, it's not amazing because you know that there's the other cube is in the bag, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's a fourth grade type magic trick. It's you put the one in, you take another one out. If you've got 2 cubes and a bag, you can do that. It's very straightforward. But so one thing that so let me mix this one up a little bit. One thing that people don't necessarily know about Rubik's cubes is that they let's see, what do I want to do here? There's more combination in a Rubik's cube than there are seconds since the Big Bang.
Oh.
So if you had a cube that was mixed up and you started at the Big Bang and you did a new combination every second until now, you still wouldn't have probably solved it. The odds are you still wouldn't have solved it if you were just randomly mixing it. So I'm gonna mix this up more. I'll just start mixing. You just tell me, I guess, stop when you feel like that's
all right.
Pretty well mixed. So go. I'm gonna do this one. These get caught up on me sometimes. Let's go there. And that one. Yeah, so when I do this on stream, I have somebody do the stop the music thing, whenever they feel like
all right,
it's pretty well done.
That looks pretty
right there?
Yep, right there.
Okay, good. Because this was solved when I started, so it's good that we spent a little time on that. So again, the number of different combinations of cube, I don't know the exact number, but it's way up there. It's scientific notation to a high power because, again, number of seconds since the Big Bang. And it blows people's minds when they find that out. But it does mean that even if you don't have a magic trick to solve the cube, things can still wind up kind of weird. There we go.
Oh, wow. So is this supposed to be like an illusion?
This could be like parlor magic, but could also be close up. But yeah, so a cube that you mixed with me, telling me exactly what to turn, and then a cube that I mixed up and you tell me when to stop, and they wind up not solved, but unsolved in the exact same way. The odds of that again are astronomical, literally. You know, so it's a fun one because it's like people are expecting it to be like it's going to wind up with like a solved cube, but instead it's they're unsolved cubes, but just in a particular way. So and sometimes I do get lucky with these things, and we can actually let me see. Sometimes let's see. Try this. There we go.
Wow, that was cool.
So yeah, so that was actually what I did on Raven's stream on Tuesday night when he was like, "Can you come on for 5 minutes and do something?" So that's the one I did then, and I figured because it's easy to see even on a small screen. Yeah, so it's the kind of weird stuff that happens in my stream. It's usually not like, and now a magic trick. It's a little more. Let me tell you about when I was in 4th grade and this stuff happened. It's a little more organic, I guess. I don't know.
So now that we officially are done with the questions, it's now time for your speech at the end. If you want to recap anything we went through, or just give the viewers motivation, or inspire them to become a magician, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know there was a speech because I didn't get to watch a previous stream all the way through. So I've not prepared anything. No. But like I think I've covered the bases from my perspective. What Twitch has brought me really is kind of, it's not even necessarily courage to fail, or even an expectation of failure, although that is part of it. I mean, have you ever seen a Twitch stream of anybody's where something doesn't go wrong, right? It's part of the culture, it's part of the technology, it's part of the paradigm. So if you're like, I've met a lot of people who are like, I want to stream, but I'm scared to start. And I understand that, I get that. But at the same time, like, I would try to keep in mind, remember every stream you've ever seen where something went wrong. Something's going to go wrong, and it's not the end of the world. It's fine. A lot of times people consider that to be the height of content, right? The chaos that erupts when, oh, the mic just cut out, or half my video is gone. Like, that's the stuff that people engage with. So don't try for the mistakes, but like, be accepting of them. And yeah, if you want to get started, give it a try. I mean, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Be careful, protect your identity, protect yourself. I'm old, I don't protect my identity nearly as well as I should, much to the chagrin of my daughter. But just again, that's the thing that I've learned most of all is even if you're afraid of mistakes, make them. You become less afraid of them, and you learn stuff all the time. And if you're not learning, that's honestly, try new things. I used to be a baker. For a long time, I was a professional baker. I did that. I baked 14 hours a day for years to build more income so I could stay home longer with my kid before going back to work. And, I learned a bunch of stuff from that I still use today. If you want me to make an amazing birthday cake, I still can. And when people come in my stream and wind up winning a prize, I'm sending them peanut butter brownies or something. It's great, So people are like, well, how do you bake? How do you know magic? How do you, all these different... I've had poetry published. I've written short stories. I mean, it's just... try different things and make mistakes. It's great. It's great. It's a lot of fun. No permanent damage. I'm going to end with that. Penn and Teller. That was I wish I'd taken this lesson to heart when I read it back when I was in college. But it's one of their principles, one of their guiding principles. Take risks, but make sure that the risk is, if it fails, that there's no permanent damage, right? So you don't take risks that might kill you, ideally. You don't take risks that might cripple you for life. You don't take risks that will, lose you your job necessarily. But, if the worst thing that happens is somebody thinks you're weird, or, a bunch of people on the bus want you to get off the bus, it's like, yeah, do weird things and just, see what works and what doesn't. But yeah, just it's good to take calculated risks. Just calculate well. So
Awesome.
That's what I would say.
So now that we're finally at the end, thank you for being on the show, and go ahead and tell the viewers
Sure.
your URLs, where they can find you, your YouTube, your TikTok, your Twitch.
Okay. I'm not on much, to be honest. Really, the only place you would want to find me is on Twitch. And so it's INFOXCZAR. Actually, it's that. Whoop, wrong way. See, if I hold this up so that you can see it, I can't see that you can see it.
Oh, yeah, we see.
Yeah. So that's good. So yeah, it's Infozar on Twitch. The X is silent. And the schedule's on there. I've been really good about sticking to a schedule, which is kind of weird for me, but it's like Tuesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays, 1:30 Eastern, and if I'm gonna from that, I'll make sure I post it in the schedule. But come on by, say hi, see some magic maybe, see me screw up some other magic, but I actually screwed up that first one, which is why I have a second one. That first one was supposed when I did that instant solve, that was supposed to happen with that first one, but nope, didn't work. So, and again, you wouldn't have known that, right? It's great. You just learn how to make mistakes and just keep going. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. If there's anything,
thanks for having me.
If there's anything else you want to add on to your URLs, maybe a little like quote or something, go ahead. And everyone in the YouTube chat, if you guys are there, click the links in the description to go check out Magic Jack.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
It was an honor.
Even though I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But yeah.
Well,
cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you for being on the show, and peace.
You're welcome. All right. See you later.
Bye.